Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Welcome to Dealer Insider, the video series that touches the automotive dealer market. I'm Kyle Alexander, and joining me is Andy Gruber, General Manager at Cronin Automotive Group. Hey, Andy. Thanks for joining me today.
Good to be with you, Kyle. Thanks for the invite.
Anytime. Big thing I want to talk with you about today is sourcing your dealership inventory from the public. This is something that's kind of getting talked about a lot more across the auto dealer industry right now. Andy, I know you and Cronin Automotive Group are doing more and more of this type of inventory sourcing with some help from VettX. My first question for you today: why did Cronin Automotive start to source inventory from the public in the first place?
Well, just a little bit of an intro. So I've been at the GM at this store, the Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store in Lebanon, Ohio, as part of the Cronin Group for 4 years now. But my background is not automotive. So I was in education software as chief revenue officer for a number of different software companies through the years. And so I think part of that is just bringing a fresh perspective into the industry. And but just as a little bit of an intro, important to Cronin though, so this is our 80th year, Cronin Automotive. We're one of the oldest Cincinnati auto families. A lot of people don't know that. A great, Christian family that is, very customer oriented and does things the right way. So proud to be a part of it. It's always been important to us to buy from the public. So we've always incentivized our salespeople to approach friends, family, neighbors, and make an offer on their vehicle. It's been part of our compensation plan. It's something that we emphasize in sales training, and we've always made it an emphasis. So that's not something new. I think the opportunity with VettX has been really incredible. So I remember the demo that we went through with them and with one of our managing partners, and kind of nudging him and saying, I love it. This is something we need to move forward with, because the idea of identifying privately sold vehicles at scale through Facebook, Craigslist, you name it, is in handling all of that in one platform is great, and just provides a lot of efficiency and benefit for the group.
Awesome. So just how does this work for Cronin Automotive? How does sourcing inventory from the public happen at your dealerships? Maybe talk a little bit too about how you market this program to potential sellers out in the public space.
Sure. We don't really market it. So we can, maybe we should, but we don't currently market it. We do have a dedicated buyer at each location. So that's something that we made sure we did, is not just give it a half-hearted attempt or make it something that everybody did a little bit of. This was going to be a dedicated buyer at each store and put some focus on it, redo a compensation plan, make sure that we had somebody on it all the time. And I think really that's been a part of the success with anything. To have success, you really need to have that focus. So that's been big for us. We just engage through the platform. We start to communicate with them through text mainly as the initial conversation starts. But as soon as we can, we get them on the phone. The biggest thing is just to build a relationship with the customer, to help them understand they're going to get a professional appraisal here, and get them out to the store so that one of our appraisers, a technician, some other managers can have a look at the vehicle.
And after making that initial connection, what kind of tools or technologies help your team or that one person at each dealership that's doing this sourcing of inventory from the public? What kind of helps them appraise and make competitive offers on that inventory?
Sure. I know we're not unique in that we use vAuto as an appraising tool. It's a great tool. I think the VettX system, maybe just to start there, is, again, you can communicate through the tool on each vehicle and each listing, you can move it from what's fresh to what you're working on to ultimately to a position of where you're potentially going to close this buy from a customer, and all of the notes are kept within that, within that vehicle. It's easy to understand if I have Dave in my store and somebody else at another store who's working on what. And so it's very intuitive. One of the things I told the guys is I didn't, although it's worked great for us and I was all about it, I really haven't been involved much in the implementation, and I don't use it every day. So we had a meeting coming up, and I just spent a little bit of time in the tool, and within 2 minutes, you can understand exactly how it works and where to manage your vehicle. So it's very intuitive. As far as when the customer gets out to the store, we do a couple things. One, we go very old school with the method, and I think this is important. Walk out with the customer, walk around the vehicle, spend some time, understand the history of it, and make sure we get a real clear picture there, have a technician look at it. But with vAuto, we're scanning the VIN, looking at all the different books. I really pay attention a lot to how many vehicles are like that particular vehicle, what are they selling for, how quickly are they turning, and so we can make the most competitive offer that we can. I do think we're going to start using a diagnostic tool as well. So that's on the horizon, just to identify, codes and potential problems that we could face once it gets into service.
Awesome. Now, I know you had mentioned Cronin Automotive Group has been getting inventory from the public for a while now. About what percentage of that inventory, of your total inventory rather, comes from the public compared to maybe at auction or from trade-ins?
It's a good question. It's 30 to 40% would come from off the street. And that number has significantly increased with VettX. So I would say it would be, kind of 15 to 20%. We saw a 15 to 20% jump right out of the gate with VettX, and we're really just getting started. We're into our 4th month, so I think there's lots of potential there. So those would be the percentages in terms of what we're getting off the street.
Let's talk a little bit about the benefits of sourcing inventory from the public. What benefits have you seen from this, and where have you seen success across Cronin Automotive Group after sourcing inventory from the public?
Sure. Well, I would probably start at a really high level, which is buying private and being able to do that at scale. These are conversations that we're having with people in our market. So that's just great. Going to the auction, there's no relationship. So if we can start a relationship with the customer, buy their vehicle, get to know their family, potentially that's a sale, lots of opportunity down the road. So we're interested in that lifetime value of the customer relationship. So that would be number one. Number two is it allowed us to, we have a 10-year veteran salesperson who is working on the VettX platform, and he needed a new opportunity. He needed, something that was slightly more focused to his skill set, a way to get his creativity going and his brain going in a different way. And this was an awesome opportunity for him. And I think the same for the other buyers at the other stores. So it's been a way to develop our talent, and that's incredible. As far as the dollars and cents, you might actually expect that these vehicles would have lower recon costs than something that you would buy at an auction. At least that's what I thought. Actually, we're spending a little bit more on these vehicles in service than we have on auction cars. So, but that to me is because we're able to buy those vehicles at the right price. We can do a little bit more to those vehicles to make them really frontline ready. Of course, everything we're doing is we're making our vehicles as attractive as possible to the public and doing everything we can, but we can put a little bit more of an investment into each vehicle, which is really great. The other big metric is just the profit per car. And when you look at our auction cars and what we've purchased since the start of the year, the VettX in private purchases are 4 times what we're making on an auction purchase. So profitability is great, and keeping our service department going. So across the group, it's been a really good investment for us.
That's awesome, and I kind of like how you highlighted that trade-off. You do put a little more work into the cars when you source them from inventory, but that does turn into that higher profitability, so using a little bit more of that reconditioning time actually does pay off kind of down the road, per se, or would you say?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it clearly does. I mean, if we could do a little bit more in service, that's great. And ultimately, if that doesn't negatively affect profitability, which clearly here it doesn't, it's 4 times the rate at which we're 4 times the PVR of what we're making on an auction purchase. That's hard to argue with that.
Well, Andy, it sounds clearly like you've had a lot of success from sourcing inventory from the public. Maybe there's dealers out there looking to start this. Maybe they haven't started sourcing inventory for the public. What advice would you have for them? Any tips and tricks to going about sourcing their inventory from the public?
Yeah, these tips and tricks might seem obvious, but I think they're worth stating. I think you have to have the focus on it. You have to have the business focus, but also have dedicated people that are spending time sourcing vehicles and working with customers every single day. So I think that's really important. Just to be aware that the selling doesn't just happen here at the store when somebody walks in or you're making that cold phone call, but to be out in the community. If you're at the grocery store, if you're at the gym, if you're wherever you are, just creating conversations where people know you're actively buying vehicles as well as selling vehicles is important. I think managing just, if you're working your Facebook listings and just kind of sourcing vehicles that customers are privately selling and approaching them through text or whatever communication channel is available is definitely a good start. And I don't think there's a bad time to get in with VettX. I mean, even if you're just getting off the ground, it's so intuitive and simple and a great concept that I have no doubt that it would benefit. Just don't do it in Cincinnati. But it would benefit your store for sure.
Great stuff, Andy. Last question I like to ask all of our guests. Anything else you'd like to add about sourcing vehicle inventory from the public?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think we've covered a lot of grounds, and I'm certainly going to keep my eyes out and see what comes down the line. But for now, I mean, their team, I guess I would say their team has been exceptional. They have great account management and are always available. We do a weekly team meeting as well as one-on-one meetings with our buyers, and that's been huge. They're very involved. They're willing to take in feedback and make things happen on the platform, and that's what you'd want in any partner. So really, it's gone well. It's early days, and that needs to continue, and they know that. But we expect that level of communication and partnership to be ongoing.
Awesome stuff, Andy. Hey, thanks for joining me again. And I forgot to mention earlier, congrats to Cronin Automotive Group for 80 years of business. That's awesome stuff. Thanks for joining me, Andy.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.